presentation.
Hello and welcome to Legalese. My name is Vincent Perryman and I'm a local attorney with the law offices of J. Vincent Perryman. Each month, Legalese focuses on a wide range of legal issues and topics. Today's show covers Chapter 13 bankruptcy. With us now is Artie Bird of the Jones Law Firm. Artie, thanks for being with us today.
I appreciate you having me.
You know, we have, when people talk about bankruptcy, you know, everybody's got a fair idea of what it is, but there's so many different chapters. You've got 7s, 11s, 13s, and I'm sure there may be some others that I'm not aware of.
Sure.
But today, you know, we're talking about Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which I think is also, a lot of times you'll hear advertisements refer to it as a wage earner.
That's right.
Just in a nutshell, what is a Chapter 13 bankruptcy?
I think to explain it, a lot of people, their common knowledge of bankruptcy, they think of a Chapter 7. Mm-hmm. They think of a straight liquidation where the court wants to take your assets, sell them off, and be able to pay your creditors. That's generally a very short bankruptcy. It takes about 6 months. Chapter 13, like you said, is referred to as a wage earner. If you make a regular income, you will take your disposable income at the end of the month and you will pay the court, who will in turn pay your creditors. It's a lot longer than Chapter 7. A Chapter 13 will last anywhere from 3 to 5 years. It's generally 5 years. And during that time, you will pay your creditors as best you can with your disposable income.
Okay, and as far as what is the initial process with, I know with a 7 you've got some things you've got to qualify for, but with a 13, are there any qualifications that you have to have before you can file?
Sure, I think what you were referring to with a 7 is a means test. If your income is above the median income, median in your geographic area, you won't qualify for a Chapter 7, at which point you will have to file a Chapter 13. Mm. Again, because you have disposable income. The way that the court will determine disposable income, it depends, like everything else. But they will take your income, an average from the last 6 months. So we're in September now, they'll take March through August. They'll average that out. They'll give you an allowance for taxes and withholdings. An important little nuance to that, receipt of child support payments are not considered part of your income in a Chapter 13. On the other side, they will take your expenses. If you're above that means test that we talked about, if you're above that median income level, your expenses are allowed by the IRS. They're going to be set. They might be lower than your actual expenses. And that being the case, a lot of times as attorneys, what we have to do in that initial consultation is advise these folks that you have to learn to live on a budget for the next 5 years. And as far as qualifications, there's a couple that unsecured debts, they can't exceed, I believe the number now is $340,000, and your secured debts can't exceed, I think, about $1.1 million at this point.
Okay, and just, you know, for any viewers that are sitting there going, well, secured and unsecured debts, what are those?
Right. The court is going to classify your debts mainly into 3 categories. Unsecured debts, and that's going to be things like credit cards, medical bills. Your creditor's not going to come and take things from you. If you don't pay it, they're going to sue you and get a judgment against you. A secured debt would be something like your house, your car. The creditor can actually come and take back the collateral. They are secured by something. They'll get something back if you don't pay them. And the third class is priority unsecured. And they're unsecured just like the credit cards and medical bills, but the government decided we want to give them priority, just like the name sounds. And that's going to be things like taxes and domestic support obligations, student loans sometimes, oftentimes. And those are the 3 classifications of debt that they talk about in bankruptcy.
Okay. So in regards to this is, I guess, the threshold question when a client comes through and they want to file bankruptcy is as well. Once you get through looking at if there's another option outside of bankruptcy and it's decided that there will be a bankruptcy here, then it's whether or not they, for an individual, whether or not they fit into a 7 or a 13. Now, with a 13, is this just individuals or can businesses do 13s as well?
They're generally individual bankruptcies. Now, you can do a joint bankruptcy if you need to do a bankruptcy with your spouse, which would be advisable a lot of the times if most of your debts are joint debts, if you're both on the house or things of that nature. Now, people who would otherwise qualify for a Chapter 7 can still file a Chapter 13 if they have regular income. And a lot of people might ask, well, why would they even want to? If in a Chapter 7 you can get rid of all these credit card debts and medical bills. What a Chapter 13 allows you to do, in our office, and I think this holds true most places, a lot of people will come in and need a Chapter 13 because they want to save their house. They've gotten behind on a couple payments or more than a couple sometimes, and if you've got $10,000 in arrears in past payments, the mortgage company is not going to work with you, for the most part, to pay that off. The Chapter 13 allows you to sort of force their hand. You can say, I'm going to keep paying my ongoing mortgage. I'm going to take this $10,000 in arrears, and I'll pay you $400 a month, or whatever you can do to catch up on those arrears. So a lot of times people behind on their house will want to file a Chapter 13, but same holds true for a car payment. Maybe your car payment's a little large for you to handle. You've got $3,000 left total, and you're paying it off at $500 a month, and that's just, it's making you strapped. Well, even though you would qualify for a 7, and we've had this, people will want to do a 13 and make that car payment $50 a month. Make it more manageable and pay it over the life of what is a Chapter 13 plan. And that is what you have to file with the court in a Chapter 13. You have to tell them, here's what I owe, and here's how I intend to pay it over the next 5 years, over the next 60 months.
Okay. So with that, I guess the nuts and bolts of this is you've got to give them what your income is, obviously, what your debts are, and then you file along with it some sort of proposed payment plan.
That's right. Like you said, it's the same as a Chapter 7 petition for the most part. You file a voluntary petition, you file your schedules of assets and debts and income and expenses. In a Chapter 7, you will file with it that means test that we talked about. Chapter 13 has something similar with a different name. It's your statement of current monthly income. It's showing what you can pay and what you can pay back. And the biggest difference in the last piece that you were alluding to was this Chapter 13 plan. You say, here are my secured debts. Here's my home, and here's the ongoing payment on it. Here's how far behind I am, and how I'd like to pay those arrears. Then your car payment if it's in there. And then you'll have a general class of all your unsecured creditors. And again, they go by priority. You'll pay your house. You'll pay your arrears. Whatever's left over, you'll give to the unsecured creditors. And again, they may not get all that they're owed in the life of a Chapter 13 plan, but they'll get more than they would have otherwise.
Okay. When we return, we'll continue our discussion about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Please stay with us.